Hi everyone! This video lesson is in the continuation with the previous video lesson on how to report exclamatory sentences. In the previous one, we have taken into consideration the exclamatory sentences which begin with what, what, and how. And now in this lesson, we will take up some more examples of that kind and will take up the another kind of exclamatory sentences. In that there is the use of an interjection or exclamation word in the beginning, and then we have a statement. So without much ado, let's move on. What a tall building the Burj Khalifa is, said the tourist. The indirect speech of this sentence would be, the tourist exclaimed in wonder that the Burj Khalifa was a very tall building. Do you know where is this Burj Khalifa? Yes, it's in Dubai. That's considered to be the second tallest building of the world, according to the current records. Because maybe in the future we may have taller buildings than the Burj Khalifa. Well, now let's check what are the changes that we have done in the indirect speech of this exclamatory sentence. The first change is in its reporting verb. Said becomes exclaimed in wonder. चूंकि इस सेंटेंस में एक wonder एक आश्चर्य का भाव है, that's why exclaimed in wonder. The next change is the removal of the comma and inverted commas and the exclamation mark. इन तीनों पंक्चुएशन मार्क्स को डायरेक्ट स्पीच से इनडायरेक्ट स्पीच में चेंज करते समय रिमूव कर दिया जाता है एंड कॉमा के स्थान पर कंजंक्शन वर्ड दैट का यूज किया गया है. और डायरेक्ट स्पीच का एक्सक्लामेटरी सेंटेंस एक असर्टिव सेंटेंस में चेंज किया गया है. Along with this, please notice the change in tense. The present tense is changed into the past tense, so is becomes was. And the final one is that the exclamation point is replaced with a full stop. यानी exclamation point और mark को हटाकर उसके स्थान पर एक full stop का use किया गया है. This change in the punctuation mark is also very important क्योंकि जिस प्रकार का sentence हम लिखते हैं उसी टाइप का punctuation mark यूज किया जाना चाहिए. Let's take up one more example. He said, what an opportunity. The indirect speech of this sentence would be, he exclaimed that it was a great opportunity. Dear students, यहाँ पर इस sentence में किए गए changes को आप notice कीजिए. Change in the reporting verb, said becomes exclaimed. If you find any kind of expression of emotion, you can add that here. If you find there is a wonder, you can say exclaimed in wonder. If there is expression of delight, then you can say exclaimed with delight. इस सेंटेंस में किया गया नेक्स्ट चेंज है रिमूवल ऑफ कॉमा एंड स्पीच मार्क्स और उनके स्थान पर हमने कंजंक्शन वर्ड दैट का यूज किया है. वन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू बी नोटिस्ड इन दिस एग्जाम्पल इज इस सेंटेंस के इनडायरेक्ट स्पीच में ग्रेट वर्ड का यूज किया गया है बिफोर द नाउन अपॉर्चुनिटी. The reason of that has been explained earlier in the same video. Well, let me tell you again. चूंकि डायरेक्ट से इनडायरेक्ट स्पीच में चेंज करने पर एक्सक्लामेटरी सेंटेंसेस स्टेटमेंट में बदल जाते हैं और एक स्टेटमेंट में एक सब्जेक्ट और वर्ब का होना आवश्यक है, कंपल्सरी है. So we have used here it as the subject and was as the verb. और अपॉर्चुनिटी से पहले ग्रेट वर्ड का यूज कर एक्सक्लेमेशन की स्पिरिट को, उसके टोन और भाव को, इमोशन को एक्सप्रेस किया गया है. Now in the next part of the lesson, we will find out what are the words which are used in place of these exclamations or interjection words when we change them from the direct to the indirect speech. Now let's take up the second type of exclamatory sentences that begin with an interjection or exclamation. और ऐसे sentences को indirect speech में change करते समय इन interjections और exclamations को छोड़ दिया जाता है, omit किया जाता है, जिस प्रकार हम exclamation mark को omit कर देते हैं. The reason is इसके द्वारा express किया गया भाव और emotion और sentiment और tone indirect speech में reporting verb के through express की जाती है. Dear students, exclamations with oh no, oh, alas, ah, heavens, yuck. These are changed into he exclaimed with disgust, surprise, sorrow, regret, grief, etc. और यह आप कैसे डिसाइड करेंगे कि आपको exclaimed के बाद कौन सा वर्ड यूज करना है? यह डिसाइड किया जाता है on the basis of the next statement, the tone of the speaker or the emotion of the speaker. In the same way, exclamations with hurrah, aha, yippee, yahoo, wow. These are changed into exclaimed with great joy or delight. चूँकि ये सभी interjections और exclamations express कर रहे हैं प्रसन्नता के भाव को, खुशी के भाव को और happy excitement को. So, these words are changed into in such words like great joy or delight. As I told you earlier also, and we change it according to the tone of the speaker or the emotion that has been expressed in that sentence. So, reporting verb said को change करने से पहले आप exclamatory sentences में express किए गए emotions, feelings, sentiments, भाव को आवश्यक रूप से समझिए और फिर उस emotion को express करते हुए reporting verb को change कीजिए. Let's understand this through examples. The old woman said, "Alas, all my belongings have been washed away in the floods." The indirect speech of this sentence would be, the old woman exclaimed with sorrow or grief that all her belongings had been washed away in the floods. Please notice the changes that have occurred in the indirect speech of this sentence. The first change is change in the reporting verb. और वह change है sad के स्थान पर exclaimed with sorrow or grief. Why? Because the old woman has expressed the feeling of sorrow and grief in this exclamation, alas. The second change is the removal of comma and the speech marks, and in place of that we use the conjunction word that. You can notice the next change in pronouns. My becomes her because this is the first person pronoun and it's changed according to the subject of the reporting clause, and that is old woman in this sentence. So, my becomes her. And the fourth change is in the change of tense. That is back shifting of the tense. The present perfect tense has been changed into the past perfect tense. So, in place of have been washed away, we have used had been washed away. And the rest part of the sentence is kept the same. Let's take up another example. The children said, "Yippee, we are going to the zoo." The indirect speech of this sentence would be, the children exclaimed with joy or delight that they were going to the zoo. Please pay your attention towards the word yippee. It shows the expression of delight and joy. That's why the reporting verb said becomes exclaimed with joy or delight. You can choose whichever you want. And of course, there are two other changes, the change of pronouns and the change of tense. The present continuous becomes the past continuous, and the pronoun we is replaced with they. इसी प्रकार कुछ exclamations like bravo, well done, these are changed into applauded or praised. Let's take up the example for such kinds of exclamations. Well done, boys, the captain said to his team members. This is the direct speech, and what would be its indirect speech? The captain applauded his team members, saying that they had done well. Or there is another way to change it into indirect speech, that is, the captain applauded his team members for doing well. Exclamations with ouch are changed into exclaimed in pain. For example, ouch, I have sprained my left ankle, said Maria. This is the direct speech, and when we would change it into the indirect speech, so the reporting verb would be Maria exclaimed in pain that she had sprained her left ankle. Dear students, please notice the other changes that we have used the conjunction word that because now the next sentence would be a statement. She had. Change in pronouns. I becomes she because this is the first person pronoun and it would be changed according to the subject of the reporting clause or reporting speech. In this sentence, that is, Maria said. So, Maria is the subject. अतः I के स्थान पर हमने she का यूज किया है. Change in pronoun के अतिरिक्त change in tense. That is, back shifting of the tense. चूँकि reporting verb past tense में है, that's why indirect speech में tense को change किया जाएगा into the past perfect. क्योंकि direct speech में ये tense है present perfect. Pronoun के change के कारण ही my becomes her. So, exclamatory sentences को direct से indirect speech में change करते समय reporting verb के changes के अतिरिक्त other general rules भी apply किए जाते हैं which are change in pronouns, change in the tenses and change in the time and place expressions. Dear students, to revise all these rules, please watch the earlier parts of this lesson series on the direct and indirect speech. So, dear students, we are approaching to the end of this lesson. That is the second part of the lesson on how to report exclamatory sentences. In the previous video, that is the first part of this lesson on narrating or reporting exclamatory sentences, we started studying this topic. And now we wind it up with this lesson. Thank you for joining. Happy learning.